The talk that's not on your to-do list. What I want for you today is to really understand what's going on within you in these moments, to decode the conflict and be able to move forward in a way that has ease, that doesn't feel as difficult, doesn't require tension. So there's different levels of conflict. There's no good and bad, it's just levels. And the way I see it is as behavior, pattern, and belief system. Behavior can be someone bumps into you and doesn't apologize. Maybe it's something that you let go of, maybe not. Maybe there's ease in saying something, maybe not. There's no judgment either way. It's just a description. Next is the pattern. The person who's always interrupting you or who's met you so many times but doesn't seem to remember you. It's getting annoying, right? Something you probably want to say something about. And then there's belief system. And these are those deep down in there, contrasting with your values. Maybe you're not feeling emotionally safe. It's got a different heaviness to it. Now, I want to be real. All of these can be uncomfortable. I know that for me, behavior ones used to be so anxiety driven for me. They brought up this fear of always wanting to please others. And I find this with my clients too, because we've been conditioned to be very polite and always make everyone else comfortable. Honestly, to this day, my husband will stop me when we're walking down the sidewalk and I instinctively move when I see someone coming. And I'll be like, you don't have to move. You didn't do anything wrong, but it's so deep in there. So there's different levels to keep aware of. And then I want you to think about what's happening within you. So there's going to be body signals. So really noticing here, is your throat closing? That's always mine. Is your jaw clenching? Your shoulders all the way up here, you didn't even notice. And then there's the internal noise, that subconscious chatter that just gets louder. It's running through worst case scenarios. If I say something, it's going to ruin everything. They're going to think I'm selfish. Now I'm the difficult one. I'm overreacting. I know they're all going to think I'm overreacting. It's really important to notice these things because this is the survival mode within your body. With the self-awareness and then emotional regulation, these are the power moves that will help you to respond instead of react. Noticing this is key. And then I want you to determine the relationship value. It's not saying some people are less important than others or some sort of rating system, but it does play into your world. I gave you levels compared with jewelry because I thought about shoes. I'm a stilettos person, but I couldn't think of stilettos that don't matter. So we're doing jewelry here. The levels of doesn't matter. You got your Claire's jewelry. You're kind of important. You got something cool from Etsy. Valuable from Tiffany. Highly valuable Harry Winston, right? Your relationship values can equate in that way. You're going to look at these and use these in comparison with the levels of conflict. They're going to give you a different lens on how to look at the situation. For example, the person at the airport who bumps into you and doesn't apologize, they're running to their flight. Maybe they're in the doesn't matter category versus a friend of yours who does that and doesn't even acknowledge the fact that you've dropped all your things. Kind of need to say something. So this becomes a good measurement tool of awareness. Conflict has not always been easy. And actually, correction, words are important. It's not easy. I'm sorry, I'm going to call just total bull on whoever says, I love conflict. I think it's so great. It's dumb. You can argue with me on that later, but it's not. It brings something up in you. And maybe the people who have always loved it or always been okay with it have been really good at fight and haven't felt the survival reaction of freeze and appease or flight as often. This for me has been an uncomfortable thing over the years. Part of it is my own trauma. And the other is that I'm a highly sensitive person. And what those two things have shown me is that I tend to have rose-colored glasses when it comes to the relationships in my life. I see harmony and unity with everyone. And so when reality sets in, it is earth-shattering. Like, I am so heartbroken. And what the patterns used to be for me is there would be no discussion at any point in time. Behavior, pattern, belief system, no discussion until the shattering. And so at that point, I'm on the ground and it's pure reaction. I'll be real. That has come out like blaming other people, sending a group email instead of having one-on-one conversations, feeling like I need to cut people off, completely shrinking. It has come out in all ways that have not served me. Creating change here is incredibly important and it's very passionate for me. So I want to show you some steps on how to do this, how to look within, how to create that change. And this is all before you ever have that conversation in the first place. So we're going to change the narrative. You're going to start by noticing what's happening in your body. Think about those thoughts, that internal noise. I want you to pause and give yourself 2 minutes of mindfulness. You're always going to see this here. I'm going to remind you because if it's doing deep breaths, if it is tactile, rubbing two fingertips together, if it's sight and staring at the details in a tree outside your window, that helps your brain. It's going to bring you back to center. It's going to build new neural pathways towards calm. It's going to stop the loop of what's happening within you. And I want you to spend some time on reflecting, articulating your feelings. Ask yourself, why does this bother me so much? And either write it out or talk it out, right? And talking it out can look like using voice notes or just talking out loud to yourself. I put some additional reflection questions I think are really important, like what am I telling myself about me in reaction to this? And then when you figure that out, is that fact or a story? Next, you're going to determine the level of conflict and the relationship value. So you've got this whole picture now, and then decide whether to proceed with the conversation. Because sometimes after you've gone through all of this, doesn't necessarily mean like you have to do anything. Maybe you're just done with it. Maybe it was something that you realized was coming up within you that doesn't need to be addressed. Maybe you see the situation differently. Or you say, yeah, this is what I want to talk about. And now I've got some ideas of how to do it. So if you decide to move forward, rehearse. And it's not rehearsing in your head. That creates another loop. We don't need that. Write it down or say it out loud. Let's do it in a way that serves you. Now, one of the relationships that I'm most proud of is my relationship with my husband. And we have always been great at communication and something we continue to build on over the years. It's not always easy, but he's my Harry Winston level, right? We do this. And recently, he had a hard conversation with me, things that were upsetting him. I didn't love the way it came out. I listened. I went through the process. I actually waited 24 hours because I know how to navigate this. And then I went back saying, I do want to address some of these things. I went back and I'll be real, wasn't awesome, didn't get an awesome response. And that was really telling because that's not how we operate. His reaction wasn't how we operate. That showed me something that was happening within him. So then I went back and I did it again, went through my process again and said, okay, you know what? I'm actually not going to move this conversation forward because right now it's not serving either one of us. I need to self-soothe and see that where he's coming from, the kind of support he needs is going to be different. And we will get there. I'm not burying it. It doesn't just die and I'm shrinking. No, it'll come up when it needs to, when the timing is right, but I can choose differently because I've already taken care of what I need to do for me and I've made an informed, aligned decision while I'm regulated. So that's a key difference. Because I care, you're always going to find this for me. Put some time on my calendar. Let's change the narrative. We'll work through the 3 steps together. And it's all for you, right? Like I do this because I know what it's like when someone doesn't offer help. And it's as simple as that. I do it because I care. There's no sales pitch. I care about you. If my intuition says, hey, this might feel good to work together, I'll ask you about it. But while I care, I don't care if you say no. Just honor yourself. And if you want to talk through something, let's do it.